Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
Here are tonight's main stories.
When? Now! What do we want? UK Steel! When do we want it?
Now!
Steelworkers from our region descend on Parliament as they fight to stop their industry going into meltdown.
Genuinely, if we don't get some action on UK Steel, we could see the entire collapse of the UK steel industry.
Police are scouring the streets of London to find this 13-year-old girl missing from Yorkshire. 3 men have been arrested on suspicion of kidnap.
Baton of Hope, Britain's biggest ever campaign against suicide, is held in Sheffield, honouring a young father from the city.
This evening it ends this leg of the journey here in the heart of the city. I'll be speaking to campaign organiser and former broadcaster Mike McCarthy.
And Need for Speed. We speak to the record-breaking inventor who built a steam-powered rocket bike in his shed.
It's exceeded my expectations, but we're not done yet. I think that we'll be able to run over 200 miles an hour.
But first tonight, steelworkers from Scunthorpe and South Yorkshire have been marching through Westminster to tell the government their industry is on the brink of collapse.
Unions say the workforce has shrunk by more than 80% in our region over the past 40 years.
And they fear without billions of pounds of funding to go green, the remaining jobs won't survive. Our political correspondent Katie Oscroft reports.
When? Now! What do we want? UK Steel! When do we want it? Now!
Marching past Downing Street, hundreds of steelworkers delivering their message loud and clear. They had travelled from Lincolnshire and Yorkshire, joined by colleagues from Wales, the North East and the Midlands, all with one message to the government.
If nothing happens, it's quite likely the steel industry will wither and die. The energy costs, the lack of a procurement policy, the lack of support to green the industry. Everybody wants us to do it and we want to do it, but we need support to do that. It will cost billions.
The UK steel industry is at a precipice. Genuinely, if we don't get some action on UK Steel, we could see the entire collapse of the UK steel industry. And we're here today to try and make that place over the road listen to the fact that they need to act, and they need to act decisively.
Hundreds of steel workers are outside Parliament today.
And over the road in the House of Commons, the Prime Minister responded at question time.
We're proud to support the steel industry and value the contribution that it makes to this country, which is why we've put in place the energy intensive industry scheme that provides hundreds of millions of pounds of support to steel companies with their energy bills.
I waste no time at all in Parliament. I talk about steel at every possible opportunity. The times that I have explained, you can't do anything without steel. You need it every single day of your life. You need it for growth, you need it for security, you need it for defence. I think that's really well understood.
Meanwhile, outside, and Ian Linklater has worked in the steel industry for 36 years, the last 22 in Scunthorpe.
Originally I'm from the Teesside Works in Middlesbrough, and we've seen the devastation that the closure of Teesside steel industry has done to that area. If it happened in Scunthorpe, it would decimate the entire town. It is, one of the biggest employees in the area.
There would be no town, there would be no community. We've seen it in the pit villages, we've seen it in the pit towns, we've seen it in other steel towns that have closed down. Motherwell, there's just no coming back once it's gone. It's going to cost us £2 to £3 billion to go green, and we just need some help like the rest of Europe from the government. We want a partnership between the companies and the government to get us through.
In Rotherham too, unions fear for the future.
When? Now! What do we want? UK Steel!
If the government doesn't take notice of this.
Well, Katie, we heard there the Prime Minister talking about supporting the industry. But what exactly does the government say it's doing to help?
Well, Lisa, the government stresses every time the steel industry is mentioned that it appreciates the vital role it plays in the UK economy. But you saw and heard the strength of feeling outside this building this morning, and the people there were telling me that they feel as though they're the lucky ones. They're still in jobs, yet so many of the workforce have disappeared from the industry in recent years. Now, the government says it has introduced a package of measures designed to cut the cost of electricity for the steel industry. It has also negotiated and paid for the removal of some tariffs on imports. But this industry needs to decarbonise and to move towards green steel. And the unions say, well, you heard them in my report, that this will cost billions and they need help from the government for this. And of course, every decision made here will impact on workers in Scunthorpe and in Rotherham and also on their families and the whole town.
OK, Katie, live in Westminster, thank you.
Next tonight, detectives in London have launched an appeal after a 13-year-old girl from Barnsley went missing and 3 men were arrested on suspicion of kidnap.
Carmel Heppy was reported missing by her family in the early hours of Sunday. It's believed she travelled to the capital to go to a birthday party the day before, and she may now be in the company of an older male.
Jonathan Brown's been following the story for us. And Jonathan, how concerned are police for her welfare?
Well, Ian, it certainly seems to be the case that the level of anxiety among officers involved in this case is growing. I should say that it has been stressed that there is currently no evidence to suggest that Carmel has come to any harm, although we are obviously talking here about a vulnerable 13-year-old girl. Now, this all started when Carmel's family reported her missing to South Yorkshire Police in the early hours of Sunday morning. Now, they've since been working with their counterparts in London to try to plot out her movements, and they believed that she travelled from Barnsley to King's Cross in London via Sheffield on Saturday afternoon, and that she then attended a birthday party, as you've said, near Burgess Park in South London at 10 o'clock that evening. She left that party about an hour later in a car with a different group.
And have there been any sightings since then?
Well, yes, police launched a social media appeal in the search for Carmel yesterday, and within that they released this footage, which you can see shows her entering a Primark store in Croydon on Sunday afternoon at about 4:45. Within that, as you can see, she was wearing a pink and white jacket, which police believe she may still be wearing. Police say that that 3 men have been arrested on suspicion of her kidnap and that they remain in custody, but all the while Carmel's location remains unknown, although, as we've said, it's believed she might be with an older male.
Sounds a terrible story. Any reaction from the family?
Yes, well, police have put out a statement this afternoon in which they've said that the family are desperately worried about Carmel's welfare and that they cannot rest until she's back with them. In the meantime, they're stressing that Carmel won't be in any trouble if or when she comes forward, while they're urging members of the public to get in touch with police if they can help as soon as possible.
Of course, yeah. Thanks very much indeed, Johnny. Thank you. Next tonight, to a journey taking place across the country that's aiming to bring hope from despair and even to save lives. It's the Baton of Hope Relay, the biggest suicide awareness campaign seen in the UK, and the baton is being carried by those who've experienced that terrible loss.
Well, the relay arrived in Sheffield today after starting out from Glasgow. It's been organised by former journalist Mike McCarthy, who's from Sheffield and who lost his son Ross to suicide in 2021. Martin Fisher has been following the baton's journey.
Setting off from Hillsborough in the hands of Sheffield Wednesday player Will Vauxhall on the first leg of the baton's tour through the city. For the midfielder, it was an emotional journey. As a teenager, he lost both his grandfathers to suicide.
Just walking up the hill there, on my own, just thinking about my granddads really. Yeah, it's frightening really. It kills more young men than anything else put together. I think that's just scary, and that's a choice, and that's something that's why we're doing this. My granddads didn't see a way out. They never spoke about it. Especially Grandad Howell, he never ever mentioned it to anybody. And if he'd have spoke to us, we could have found him help and hopefully prevented this from happening.
It's a tragedy that one of the relay's organisers, Mike McCarthy, knows only too well. His son Ross taking his own life during the pandemic. One of his dying requests that more was done to help people facing a mental health crisis.
You know, I always say that suicide is never the answer. It's never, ever the answer. But I'm proud of a son that, even in his dying moments, saw a cause to be championed in a world that he wouldn't be part of. And people have just responded to it, you know, so positively. And I kind of feel, I don't know, I just want to say, here we are, Ross.
Back on its journey, and the baton arrived at South Yorkshire Police's headquarters, where it was met by all 3 blue light services. Their staff often called on to deal with those at risk.
We know that emergency services workers get exposed to trauma
far more regularly than people who don't work within the emergency services, and that can have an impact on their own mental health and well-being, which is one of the reasons why we were all so wholeheartedly in support of the Baton of Hope and supporting on its journey through Sheffield today.
Another stop along its route today was legendary music venue The Lead Mill. Organisers choosing the venue for its musical legacy and the hope and joy it's brought for Sheffield people.
Music obviously is a massive outlet for creativity and to help people express feelings and things that they might be struggling with, and also, like you say, it brings joy. Particularly saw it through lockdown, where music kind of came to the forefront and really helped a lot of people through what were quite dark times. So yeah, it's really important.
It started at Hillsborough, so of course a visit to the red and white half of the city had to be included. Bramall Lane legend Tony Curry picking up the baton.
Proud to have been involved in it. It's obviously something close to everybody's hearts, isn't it? And you know, I was struggling in my 30s when I was back down south, and you know, so I'm just pleased to be involved in it.
More than 6,000 people take their own lives in the UK each year. Sheffield uniting today to try and bring that figure down. Martin Fisher, ITV News.
Well, our reporter Holly Goodall is in Tudor Square in Sheffield for us this evening, where the Baton will finish its journey for today. Hello there, Holly. What's happening there tonight?
Well, as you can see, it's all go down here, and the Baton really has been all over the city today, meeting community groups, NHS staff, footballers, the great and the good of Sheffield. And following it every step of the way is Mike McCarthy, former broadcaster and, of course, campaign organiser. Mike, this is a campaign which is deeply personal to you, of course. But what was it like seeing the Baton of Hope come home to Sheffield, your home city?
Emotional, but uplifting as well, and heartening to see the kind of turnout that we've had today. It's been phenomenal, especially because it's my home city. It was Ross's home city, and it's a city that I love, and I knew that Sheffield wouldn't let us down, and they have welcomed us so warmly and with so much enthusiasm that you know, it makes me realise that there is hope out there. People do care, people are compassionate, and yeah, this is just the start.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone's welcomed you, even the rain has stopped. You've been meeting people from all walks of life. What are some of the special moments and conversations that you've had over the last couple of days?
I think for the baton bearers, we've got close to 1,000 people carrying this baton around the United Kingdom, ending in London on July the 6th. And to see what it means to these people, most of them have been bereaved by suicide, or they have attempted suicide at some stage in their lives, and to see what carrying the baton means to them, the emotion that's involved, but that sense of being able to share something that, you know, once upon a time you couldn't share, you weren't expected to talk about it, it was swept under the carpet, and the fact that that is coming out into the open, that the taboo is disappearing, it's just a wonderful thing, and that's exactly what we wanted to achieve with the Baton.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Well, that is the end of the journey of the Baton of Hope here in Sheffield, but far from the end of the road. In fact, it's got 7 more cities to call in before it finally ends its journey in London next week, on the steps of Parliament, where it's hoped that the message of this campaign will be heard loud and clear.
OK, Holly, thanks very much indeed, and stay dry, won't you? Thank you.
Well, you're watching Wednesday's calendar. Still to come tonight, catch him if you can. The North Yorkshire inventor breaking records with a steam-powered rocket bike.
And if you're fed up with the high humidity that seems to have been with us for weeks now, it's yay to Thursday. Lots better as we head into tomorrow. All the detail a little later on.
The parents of a man who ended his own life following a gambling addiction have today been awarded MBEs by the Prince of Wales for their work in supporting families bereaved by gambling-related suicide. Liz and Charles Ritchie from Sheffield set up Gambling with Lives after the death of their son Jack in 2017. They're campaigning for the responsibility for harm to be placed on the government and industry rather than just on the person with the addiction.
An ITV investigation has found thousands of vulnerable women are turning to free, unregulated sperm donors via social media to help them conceive.
It's prompted a warning about safety and ethics from the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Authority, which regulates fertility clinics. Amrit Birdie has this report.
Erica always dreamt of being a mother, but as a lesbian woman, she knew it wouldn't be a simple journey. So she, like thousands of other women and same-sex couples, joined an online sperm donation page in the hope of meeting a suitable candidate.
When I had a look at the options, I knew that I had the ability to use a fertility clinic or to find a known donor myself. When I had a look at what was available at the time, there were men that were offering sex online. I thought it was wrong to be put in a situation whereby you would be asked for sex in circumstances whereby you can be quite desperate to have a baby. I think it's quite wrong.
Erica's experience is far from uncommon, with hundreds of social media groups dedicated to offering free sperm. And posts from women in these groups, which specify they are open to natural insemination, in other words sex, receive far more interest from potential donors. As part of this investigation, I joined one of these online groups, and under a pseudonym I posted a message asking for a sperm donor, using artificial or natural insemination. Within a week, I was flooded with messages from men asking where I lived and offering up their sperm.
PM me if you're still looking for a donor.
Hi, what's your location, please?
Hi, you looking for free sperm donation?
Other posts on the group included women who'd been let down by sperm donors at the last minute, or been asked to pay for the donation, which is illegal in this country. There are also many health risks when it comes to using a private donor, with fertility clinics like this one in Leeds strongly advising against it.
You have no way of proving their background. You have no way of assessing infection screen, of getting any basic genetic testing done. They won't have been counselled. There is potentially unlimited numbers of families that they could father.
After her experiences looking for a donor on social media, Erica decided to start a sperm donation website with strict safety procedures.
We always decided to go with the HFEA guidelines because we believe in them. We have a report abuse system. We don't allow anybody to offer sex or NI or such like. And we actively monitor all the profiles to make sure that everything is legit.
It's Erica's hope that by highlighting some of the risks, fewer people will have to go through what she did when trying to start a family of their own. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Well, in a statement, the Department of Health and Social Care spokesman told us that they recommend patients use UK licensed clinics for donor treatment to ensure both safety and clarity of legal parenthood.
Well, the ITV Evening News is continuing at 6:30. Here's Mary Nightingale with the headlines.
Coming up on the programme, Britain's biggest water firm could be on the brink of collapse. The government says it's prepared for a range of scenarios, including taking control of Thames Water, with it billions in debt. A critical risk to students and staff. The new report outlining the dangers thousands face being taught in unsafe buildings. Fury in Paris as a teenager is shot dead by a police officer. And Kate Garraway, MBE, the Good Morning Britain presenter, honoured as her husband watches on. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Thanks, Mary. We will. Now, happy Eid to Muslims across the region who've been celebrating Eid al-Adha, one of the biggest holidays in the Islamic calendar. The day starts with the purification ritual, followed by a special prayer service held at a mosque or outside space. This celebration, held at Cross Flats Park in Leeds, is one of the largest family events in West Yorkshire.
It's important for all of us to get together and celebrate. We've got mums and dads and kids all coming together and having a good time, and it's just important to have the community spirit, especially on Eid. And it's not just about us, but we also need to think about the people that are less fortunate than us today as well.
It is. Rain was also disrupted. Play was also disrupted by rain. There's been a bit about.
Yeah, it's not been the best of combos today, has it? Warm and wet, and we have had that rain working its way in during the course of the day. You can see that on the radar for today. Even a little rumble or two of thunder, probably a flash of lightning over the Dales before pushing across all parts. Some of those pulses heavy, but continuing to journey eastwards. So we've had some great photos despite the cloud. Gary Hornby of York in North Yorkshire says, is this Momatus? I think it is Momatus cloud trying to develop. That would make sense. The air is very unstable. We've had some lightning today. So yeah, giving a bit of texture to the cloud above in York there, and also in Honley. A big thank you to Roy Hinchcliffe for this shot. And for Sandy, the heather's coming out now, despite the grey skies, some colour there in the heather. But yes, she said warm but wet, not the best of combinations. So last night we didn't dip below 15 Celsius, so a very warm night. Tonight, as that rain clears, we're looking at 10, so a 5-degree dip, and that's will be also shown in the daytime temperatures. Today we maxed out at 26 Celsius, pretty warm. The average is around 20. Tomorrow, more like the average, and it's the humidity as well as the temperatures. So 73% humidity today, a lot of water vapour in the air. Tomorrow we're looking at 45, and we also look at something called dew point, which is basically the temperature at which the air becomes saturated, and the closer it is to the temperature, the more saturated it becomes. So today it was 16, tomorrow it's 6. So yay to less humidity.
Absolutely.
Fresher is the word for
fresh
tomorrow.
air.
Yeah, for sure.
See you soon, Kerry.
Yeah.
Now, if you become a grandparent, you could be forgiven for slowing down a bit and putting your feet up, apart from perhaps helping out with a little childcare.
That's not the case, though, for grandfather of 9, Graham Sykes, who's from Bedale in North Yorkshire, who's certainly not slowing down. In fact, Graham has just smashed the world land speed record for riding a steam-powered rocket motorbike at a groundbreaking 163 miles an hour. And that was on a bike he'd built himself from scratch. John Hill's been to meet him and his support crew, his wife Diane.
Behind the shed door, a cracking contraption is being put through its paces.
Have you got anything there?
Yes, it's ready now. It's coming out.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, it's measuring 20.2.
This is Force of Nature, a motorbike like no other.
5, 4, 3, 2.
In a puff of steam, inventor Graham Sykes is off. And off again. And again. In fact, Graham's just set a world record of 163 miles an hour on his steam-powered rocket bike. A bike that he's been building in his shed for 10 years.
Graham, how does it work?
Well, we've got a big cylinder, a big tank, which we fill with water, and then we heat it up, and that water pressurises because it expands. It gets to 250 degrees C, and that brings the pressure up to around 600 psi, 40 bar. And then we release that pressure out through valves, through some rocket nozzles, and that sends us in this direction very fast.
It's a rocket?
It's a rocket, yes.
How do other people regard you, do you think, Graham?
Well, they think I'm a nutty professor, but I'm not. I'm very levelled and down to earth, and I'm just an engineer with a passion for sport and going fast.
The previous record was set by an American, a mere 80 miles an hour. Graham's record-breaking run, set at Elvington, more than doubles that. Now he's got his sights set on topping 200 miles an hour. That could mean a lot more time in the shed.
A lot of men use their garden sheds to get out of the house, shall we say. Is that the situation here?
Well, if we're at home, Graham's in his shed. That is end of. And he just comes out to eat. So yes, he does.
Is this true, Graham?
And sleep. So I go in the house to eat and sleep. Yeah.
But for the two of you, it seems to work.
It's pretty good.
It's been all right for the last 26 years.
Diane and Graham have clearly hit on a winning formula. A labour of love measured in years, triumph in the blink of an eye. John Hill, ITV News, Bedale.
I don't think I'd want to wrap my legs around that rocket with all that steam down there, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't know if I do, actually. Let's go to Kerry with the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, hello again. It all turns a little bit showery, followed by outbreaks of rain overnight tonight. So glimmers of sunshine across the region today, and where we did get the highest of the temperatures and the sunshine coming through, those heavy showers. Still looking beautiful though, Machiko in New Miller Down, West Yorkshire. A big thank you for sharing weather photos at itv.com. So this front has to push through during the course of tonight, and then we're left with this mobile westerly with weather fronts and quite breezy conditions coming in from a west-northwesterly direction over the next few days, but there will be some sunshine in between as we head closer towards the weekend. So during the course of this evening, the showery outbreaks, heavy at times pushing eastwards into the early hours of tomorrow morning. We look to the west for the drier, clearer and fresher conditions. Maybe quite a slow process now, but certainly over the Pennines, temperatures in rural spots could dip to 9 or 10 Celsius and definitely feeling a lot better as we head towards tomorrow morning compared to what it felt like this morning. 4:38 and 9:41 are your sun times. So that continues to journey that front out eastwards into the North Sea tomorrow morning quite quickly, then a lovely dose of sunshine, then we see the cloud bubbling up, then a few showery outbreaks, but many places will escape, hit and miss. Temperatures around average, it will feel much better, fresher yes, but more sunshine around, and the wind's fairly fresh as well, a bit of a breeze from a west-northwesterly direction. Clear skies tomorrow night and then a good start as we head into Friday, but we will see more cloud into the afternoon, high risk of showers, and then probably some rain as we head towards the latter part of daylight hours. For the weekend at this stage, scattered showers, bright and breezy, temperatures just about average.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
Showers or rain only temporarily dampening the pollen counts down across our patch because it's a westerly flow. We've got a lot of shelter from the Pennines, high to very high over the next few days to come. There you go, less muggy, but the air full of pollen, swings and roundabouts.
Oh, you can't have everything, can you?
Yeah.
If only.
No. And you're back with the late news.
I am back with the late news, slightly later time of 10:40. Mary Nightingale's next. I'll see you later.
Have a good evening, a very good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.